The Kraken are back, but lose to the Stars last night. We'll talk about it and hear from the players and Coach Lambert about it. And we welcome home our champions, the women winning the gold medal for Team USA in Olympic hockey, including a guest appearance from Megan Rapinoe coming up on Locked On Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Zane Begg alongside Glenn Dreyfus, and we're with David Jones' Locker Room, where we cover the Seattle Torrent and the Seattle Kraken. And welcome to Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Glenn, you waited 3 weeks. You were excited. You're like, oh man, I can't wait to get back to Kraken hockey. And then we got back to Kraken hockey, and I was a lot less excited after that.
Attention, Seattle Kraken. The Olympic break is over. There was a hockey game Wednesday.
Well, so we're just going to really briefly touch on this game. If you missed it, I'm so jealous. Wyatt Johnson scored a couple of goals. Seattle loses 4-1. 3 of the goals coming on deflections. Joey Daccord didn't have really any chance on those. And then one of the goals coming on a rebound. There was a goaltender interference challenge. They did not rule it goaltender interference, which then Dallas got a power play. They scored on that power play. So the Kraken still do their obligatory give up 1 power play goal every single game, or so it seems, which is why they have the 31st ranked power play this year. And then we got a late goal by Riker Evans to make it a slightly less unrespectable score of 4-1. We had some third period fisticuffs, a brouhaha. And then the game ended. And then we said, I'm so glad that they play again tonight in St. Louis, and we don't have to spend 24 hours thinking about this game. Speaking of 24 hours, before we get into the game, one very important note. Last night, when I was looking at the roster, the official roster provided to the media on the NHL media site, I saw 23 players because they had called up, or rather they had removed Ben Myers and Berkeley Catton from injured reserve, which meant there were 24 players on the roster. We discussed this last week. That's one too many players. And I noticed Ty Cartier wasn't on the roster at all. 23 names, Ty Cartier, not one of them, which means that he was placed on waivers. I mailed you and I said, I think Ty Cartier has been placed on waivers. And sure enough, this morning, Kraken PR said he's placed on waivers. So what that means is he has 24 hours to wait and see if any other team wants him. And if they do, they just get to have him and they get his contract and they just get him. If no team gets him that 24-hour period, then he's sent down to Coachella Valley and then they can play him down there. Waivers is how, incidentally, the Kraken picked up Eeli Tolvanen. So really important, but no Ty Cartier, so hopefully he also didn't have to watch this game. And now, your thoughts.
Well, first, briefly on Cartier, the NHL has this really convoluted language. That's why we had to read between the lines that he'd been placed on waivers, because the explanation in official language is he has been removed from the lineup for non-injury reasons. Yeah, what happened? Did he have a dentist appointment? What is it? But it turned out to be waivers. We will always have a place in our hearts for Ty Cartier for scoring his first 3 NHL goals in the 22-23 playoffs as a call-up, one against Colorado, and then how's this for bookending? 2 goals against the Dallas Stars in the second round of the playoffs that year. And I'm not convinced, by the way, Zane, that if the Kraken need a call up the rest of the year, that Karche is going to be the guy.
Well, I don't know if he's going to clear waivers. Also, didn't he score on his very first shift in
Yes.
that game against Colorado? Yeah. That playoff series feels like a fever dream. Like, did that really happen? Because that does not feel like it happened. Like, I'm like, this is the same team. And it wasn't that long ago. I mean, that was 23, 3 years ago, really? Anyway.
Well, as to the game, which we're doing a good job of avoiding talking about, considering the opposition, should we really have been surprised? Since the inception of the Kraken, no team has been their kryptonite like the Dallas Stars, at least in the regular season. And that's no matter how you slice it. The Kraken have won once all time in Dallas. They've lost the last 9 meetings with the Stars. In 7 of the last 8 games, Seattle has scored a grand total of 0 or 1 goal. Let me say that again, much as it hurts. In 7 of the last 8 games against the Stars, Seattle has scored 0 or 1 goal. And they only have 2 wins in 15 regulation meetings all time. So on Wednesday for Dallas, missing 3 Olympians, no Mikko Rantanen, no Rope Hintz, no Jake Ottinger, no problem.
I am a stats guy, so I ran the numbers, and scoring 0 or 1 goals in 7 out of games is not good. So in case you're wondering what the advanced metrics say, you're like, oh, maybe it's good. No, it's actually the opposite of what's good. It's frustrating every time that they play this team. It's the Oilers and the Stars. Both of them are just absolute horror shows every time. Someday the Kraken will beat the Stars like 3 in a row, and it'll be 2048, and we'll be sitting in our floating cars and
or tell the Kraken that it's a playoff series and not regular season.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're going to pick a time to not be awful, the playoffs would be the time to do it.
Yeah.
But the Kraken were definitely awful. And it wasn't just that they gave up 4 goals. They had nothing going on. They had only 3 shots on goal in the first 3 period. At one point, Dallas had 4 goals and Seattle had 4 shots on goal.
It's true. Just before the midpoint of the first period, Matty Beniers put a shot on goal. It was the Kraken's 3rd shot, and 2 of those came on a power play. So for the last 10 minutes of the first period and the first 7 minutes of the second period, more than 17 minutes of gameplay, Seattle mustered 1 shot on goal.
Okay, so I actually really did dig into the numbers on this one. I wanted to know what the effect was of rest on teams, because this is the first game after a long break, and narratively, anecdotally, game after the Christmas break, game after the All-Star break, that first game, people say it's sloppy, it feels sloppy, and I wanted to see if there's any truth to that. The number of shots, it's not any different. Penalties isn't different. Hits, giveaways, all that stuff is stable. Blocks. But the one thing that there is a increase is in shot quality. The expected goals, the quality of shots that teams get on average is higher in that first game back after a long break being 5 days or more. What this means, it's my interpretation of this, is it's not that the save percentages are dropping relative to the quality of shots they're facing. So the goalies coming in being rusty isn't the factor here. But what is happening is defensive structure is harder to maintain or establish when you've had a bunch of time off.
Well, that's interesting because that's what the Kraken calling card is.
Yeah, sure is. So it's about a third of an expected goal over the course of the game, which is a lot. Now, as you said, take that now to the Kraken. If everything the Kraken do is based around the foundation of defensive structure first, and if that doesn't work, as we've seen, nothing else on this team works. But when they stick to their foundation, their core philosophy, their plan, defense first, everyone plays where they need to be, then you generate offense out of defense, and you engage in shot suppression, expected goal suppression, and you grind it out and you win the game that way. This is the exact kind of condition that is unraveling what the Kraken fundamentally want to be. So it's not surprising necessarily to see the Kraken play so poorly because A, it's Dallas and there's a voodoo curse. B, the Kraken are more sensitive to the effects of a long layoff because of the way they play, because of the way their roster's built, because of their defensive system than other teams would be. And I think that is a big reason why they looked so poor last night. Here's the good news. The effects of this disappear after a game. So it's a little bit in the second game, but by the second game's over, the rust factor is off. This all lines up with, I think, what we see the eye test. They look rusty and teams don't play as well in that first game, but then that effect, we forget about it a game later.
One more note in this segment is to note that in the first period, defenseman Ryan Lindgren and Colin Blackwell of Dallas had a collision that shook the Richter scale. Lindgren was injured on the play and did not return. So the Kraken played a lot of Wednesday's game with 5 on the blue line.
Yeah, that's a good point, and we don't have any word on that. Shocking that they would not divulge information about an injury. So, well, we will hear from Coach Lambert and other players. Probably not going to be divulging any injury information, but we will hear what they think about the game last night. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Join the Everydayer Club for ad-free audio, access to our group chat on Discord, and more. Use code DEADLINE ahead of the trade deadline for 1 month free. Join now at lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer or click on the link in the show notes. Well, we heard what we think about the game, but we got some reactions from people who actually participated in the game.
What the Kraken experienced in Dallas Wednesday night was expressed best by a famous Texan, President Lyndon Johnson, who once told an aide, "I feel like a hitchhiker caught in a hailstorm on a Texas highway. I can't run, I can't hide, and I can't make it stop." For those watching on YouTube, I know photos can catch people in poses that don't reflect how they feel, but Joey Decord sure looks pained. And Adam Larson isn't looking at anything, closing his eyes and probably wishing he was back on a beach or wherever he was during the break. As to those comments, Riker Evans, who scored the lone Kraken goal, said afterward that his D-corps didn't do enough in terms of boxing out against the Stars.
It's obviously really tough taking a break there. Both teams are in the same boat. We just weren't able to find our rhythm to start the game. We just need to do that a bit sooner. We were just passing up shots. We just need to get pucks towards the net and get a greasy one. We were just trying to make a fancy play or just pass it. We just need to get to the net. And they find their success going to the net and obviously getting tip goals and being dirty. A lot of the shots were going wide and they just happened to get sticks, so we just had to be better tying up sticks in front. I thought Joey played a hell of a game.
Pass first mentality versus shoot first mentality was pretty apparent. And, well, I mean, they only generated 3 shots on goal in the first period and 6 in the second. So clearly not a shot first mentality.
Captain Jordan Eberle would agree with you.
Obviously, we had a couple power plays we didn't capitalize on. I thought we moved the puck pretty well, had some looks, just didn't find a way to score. They got that tip at the end of the first there, and then a couple tips in the power play in the third, and just coverage. And I thought for the most part we were a little bit sloppy at execution-wise. We weren't making plays and executing the pass to pass. And against a good team like that, they played simple, they played good, they defended the inside. I didn't think we did a good job of getting inside and getting greasy. I think as tough as that is, it's all these games are massively important. I don't care if it's after the break or what it may be, but we got to find a way to rebound tomorrow. We've struggled to create offense against them this year. They've had our number that way. So, for a team that, defends on the inside, you have to find a way to beat these guys. To me, it's effort, will, battle, compete. Just ways to find, you look at, like I said, 3 of their goals were just, shots from the point and find a way to get their sticks on it. We didn't do a good enough job, I think, especially in the first 2 periods where we have 8 or 9 shots. We've got to find a way to create. They're not going to score that way. They executed better than we did. They got to the inside and found a way to tip some pucks in. Like I said, we had a chance to rebound tomorrow.
I wonder if they got to the inside. Jordan, why are you being so secretive?
Even Coach Lambert had an off night. As you alluded to in the last segment, after the 3rd Dallas goal, Lambert called for a coach's challenge. That was a real Hail Mary. I suspect that in his heart of hearts, the coach knew there wasn't any goalie interference, but he also knew that with as anemic as his team's offense was, they couldn't afford to give up a 3rd goal. Well, the 3rd goal counted. The failed challenge meant that 31st ranked Kraken power play, penalty kill rather, had to defend against the Stars, who have a good power play. And sure enough, Wyatt Johnson had his 2nd goal of the night, 31st of the season. The route was on, and this is amazing, Zane. 19 of Wyatt Johnson's 31 goals have come on the power play. And that's a record for the Dallas franchise, going all the way back to their beginnings as the Minnesota North Stars in 1967. So let's hear what else the coach had to say.
We failed to execute on a lot of different situations. And for whatever reason, apparently we had a pass first mentality instead of a shoot first mentality. And, it just doesn't work with our hockey team. And, there's no excuse for it. There's no reason for it. We've got to be better. Right off the bat, I thought we were fine in the first 7 minutes of the game, 8 minutes of the game. Our power play, if we could have scored, would have really given us a huge boost. Didn't happen. I thought, early on the power play was good. I thought it got sloppy towards, the last couple of opportunities. And I thought our penalty kill, for the most part, I thought our penalty kill was okay. It was a face-off. Shot goes going wide. It hit. I think it probably hit off 2 guys, our guy and their guy. But it just overall, as a whole, the entire game, it was disappointing for me. And again, like I said, not good enough. They're a good hockey team over there. We needed to be a lot better than we were. The first goal, I thought. If you could say it was a bit of a turning point. You give up a goal late in the first period like that. You have to box out going to the net. Those shots, by the way, were going wide. and they're throwing that puck to the net and tipping them. So that's what we're talking about. With us, shot first mentality, and they tip them. The second goal they scored was a result of a poor execution. We iced the puck, face off, don't maintain our assignment off the draw, and it's in the back of our net. So there's little things that just kind of snowballed on us, and we have a good penalty kill, come out of the box and get scored on off the rush, and then we challenge and they score on a power play. So it was just a combination of a bunch of different things. It wasn't a good enough hockey game for our hockey team, and we've got to be better.
Little things that kind of just snowball on us. I love that comment. I talked about this on yesterday's show, about how Lane Lambert's attention to detail prevents the Kraken from having these situations where a missed detail snowballs and cascades into all of these problems. I think that I'm not worried. Lane Lambert is really good at getting the team to rebound from losses. I think he has a very good sense of how to get the team up for games. And one of the things that players have commented on is that he prepares them for all situations, and they feel well coached.
Well, one last point about St. Louis that'll be different from Dallas is that Kaapo Kakko is going to be back in the lineup. And Lambert did explain why he wasn't against Dallas, while fellow Finn Eli Tolvanen did play. Lambert pointed out that Kakko was used more heavily than Tolvanen by Team Finland, played on back-to-back nights. And he told the coach he wouldn't be at 100% efficiency. And to Lambert's credit, where a lot of coaches would frown on such honesty, Lambert applauded it. And Kakko's presence probably wouldn't have altered the outcome anyway. We'll see how he does back in the lineup tonight, and also how that alters the Kraken lineup if he is in.
Kaapo Kakko and Eli Tolvanen winning bronze medals at the Olympics. But what's even better than bronze is gold. Coming up next, we are going to talk about the celebratory press conference, bringing home our heroes, the women winning the gold medal for the United States hockey, who are playing for our Seattle Torrent. And we are so excited. It was one of the most joyous experiences I've had in a long time doing sports, and I'm so excited to share this with you coming up next. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one person you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Glenn, yesterday we had a celebration / press conference. It was a weird event in that way. There was media, but then they also had people who were just there to cheer on the women. But we got our 4 Torrent gold medalists for the USA, and they came out and we had a wonderful time. Talk to us what you saw.
Well, there were representatives from both Washington U.S. senators, from the governor. A lot of the Seattle City Council members were there. A member from FIFA, where the World Cup is coming to Seattle. And so it was really who's who of dignitaries celebrating the 4 Olympians who are also members of the Seattle Torrent: Hillary Knight, Alex Carpenter, Hannah Bilka, and Kayla Barnes. Now, to refresh your memory, if you need refreshing, Hillary Knight, who is captain of both the Torrent and Team USA, had said that the 2026 games, her 5th Olympics, would also be her last. And as you know, Knight scored with 2:04 remaining in regulation in the gold medal game against Canada to force overtime. It gave Knight the American women's hockey all-time record for goals and points. USA went on to win 2-1 for Knight's 2nd gold medal. Well, among those watching the game on their TV at home was Seattle's sports power couple, soccer's Megan Rapinoe, who played for the NWSL Reign, and Sue Bird, who played for the WNBA Storm. Legends both. At the Space Needle event, Rapinoe animatedly talked about the way that Knight had a fairy tale ending.
Sue said it while we were watching. It does make me emotional because I didn't have this at the end of my career, and neither did Sue. But I feel like I got a little bit back because of you. We were like, Sue was like, "This is storybook. This is storybook. Like, this doesn't happen." Where the person who deserves it the most gets that kind of moment. You've had your ups and your downs and all of the things, and the team and everybody, and you'll lose more games and you'll win more games. But like, you get to have this incredible moment for a sport in a country that you've given so much to, and you get to have this moment back. And I'm just so happy for you personally, and feel like I got a little bit back at the end too. So thank you. Not that it's about me, but you know, I'm always going to make it about me.
In the pantheon of most charming athletes, her and Pierre-Edouard Bellemare.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were ever in the same room when they both played, or when Bellemare lived in Seattle, but the world would implode in a charisma black hole if that ever happened. So maybe it's best to not do that. It's like, oh, it's all the charisma, it's too much.
Well, much as Rapinoe did on the pitch, he stole the show at the event yesterday, so much so that we're going to play more from Rapinoe's speech on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Kraken. But for today, and for her part, Hillary Knight called the whole experience like a whirlwind, an amazing dream, she said, that she hopes never ends.
Truly, what an incredible honor to be a part of the room that we had. We really felt like we were America's team. Our emphasis going into the tournament was essentially that, you know, all the work had been done. We'd been together for the whole quad, and now we get to just go out there and play and try and inspire people every single stride of every single shift. And I think that's what you felt and what you ultimately saw and what we ultimately got rewarded for at the end of this amazing journey. So, and hopefully it comes through in you know, the post-game comments, and when you get to talking to any of us, how special that room is, because there's nothing like it. And while I'm really excited to go out on top, I will definitely miss competing alongside these guys as well as other teammates on the world stage when the stakes are the highest and everybody wants you to just fail. So it's just truly incredible to be a part of that room and super special. And I think I said it, you know, after our last practice, something you just want to bottle up forever, because it's just like that. But yeah, it's I will say this year has been incredibly special from the get-go. A lot of specials, as you can see. Being able to be a part of the first team here in Seattle and represent the Pacific Northwest has been an incredible honor. We have felt the love before we even set foot in Market. And that is just such a testament to the sports culture here, how you champion women on our field of play. It's just amazing. And so it's been an incredible ride to be able to sell out Climate Pledge, hear the momentum of the fans, set records together, have different touch points within the community. And so while we go and do this amazing feat together as Team USA, it's so special to be able to have a piece of hardware, whether it's silver or gold, to be able to share that with this community that's championed us and who has loved us and supported us since day one, and even before day one, before we even got here. So thank you very much for supporting us, and we're really looking forward to our game coming up on Friday.
Zame, I liked how she didn't forget to include Seattle and the Torrent in her remarks.
Also, the game Friday, tickets still available. The atmosphere is going to be awesome. I'm so excited for that. So please go check out the Torrent. You don't have to wait 4 years to see these incredible women. And I really want to just take a second to underscore the importance of what we saw. I don't get starstruck easily. I have met athletes, my childhood hockey hero, when I had a conversation with Joe Sakic, and it was just like, we're having a conversation about some hockey technical stuff because I was doing some consulting. And it doesn't, Wayne Gretzky, doesn't matter, right? I played with movie stars at the World Series of Poker, and I never get excited, seeing except for James Woods, not because it's James Woods, but because he's the worst poker player I've ever seen. So it's like, oh, we get to play as James Woods. Like, ooh, that guy has money and he's awful. But when I saw those gold medals, those 4 gold medals, I was like getting emotional. And it's because a gold medal in the Olympics is the highest achievement in sports. It is something you win 8 Stanley Cups. Well, if you go to somebody in Pakistan and you're like, I've won 8 Stanley Cups in hockey, they're like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. That sounds great, right? You tell somebody in Iran that I won a gold medal in anything in the Olympics. It doesn't matter what it is. Right? Like a gold medal in fencing. If you told me that, I'm like, that's really impressive. I know nothing about fencing. I know nothing about alpine skiing but it doesn't matter, right? You're just like, you understand that this represents the tens of thousands of hours of sacrifice and being the best of the best, and the entire world is the player pool that you're competing against. You are in another echelon of athletes. When you win a Stanley Cup, you win it for your city. When you win a gold medal, you win it for your country, right? This is way different than just, it's a champion, which is cool, right? A Stanley Cup would be amazing, but this is on another level. And seeing them come in, Olympians are the closest things that we have to superheroes in this earth, and we got Captain America.
And you've also got me thinking, hey, IOC, alpine fencing, make it happen. But as you said, Zane, you and I were in attendance. Here's what I wanted to know.
Hannah, this being your first Olympics as a participant, I was wondering if you have a go-to story or brush with greatness or most memorable moment off the ice in Italy.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I feel like the whole experience was a dream and something I kept pinching myself, and the on-ice stuff with the hockey is obviously so special and why you're there, but I think those memories off the ice is really what I'm going to remember, and it was just our group that made it so much fun, and it felt like, every day was a blessing to be with the team in the locker room, and not sure if I have a specific story, but all those memories are something I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life.
And I am curious, Hillary, if Saturday Night Live is called so that you can diss Colin Jost again.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I would love the opportunity. That would be epic. I thought you were going to say Snoop Dogg.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Flava Flav.
When Flavor Flav invited them out to Vegas after the season, I think they're going. So are you covering that, Zane?
I don't know if they're going to give me a credential. Maybe we'll just let them enjoy the moment by themselves, and I won't insert myself into the moment like maybe some people have in this cycle.
Oh, good segue, Zane, because there was that elephant in the room, and you know what elephants leave behind. The captain addressed that too.
Obviously, you're celebrating the magnificent accomplishments that you guys had over the Olympics, but you spoke about President Trump's comments about inviting you guys to the White House. Don't mean to detract from the celebration, but curious if you had any further comments, anything else you'd like to add about that?
No, I just thought the joke was distasteful and unfortunate. And I think, just the way women are represented, it's a great teaching point to really shine light on how women should be championed for their amazing feats. And now I have to sort of sit, and anybody has to sit in front of you and explain someone else's behavior. It's not my responsibility. So, but what is shifting the focus and shifting the narrative of this amazing accomplishment that we all did together. And granted, the men's and the women's team did it together, and that is super special. It's never been done in our program's history. It's something we're extremely proud about. But these women are amazing, and whatever is going on shouldn't never outshine or minimize their work and our success on the world stage. This was the best American women's hockey team, the best American team we've ever put together on a world stage when the lights have been the brightest ever. And so I think everybody felt that, going through the tournament. And I want to celebrate. I want people to be remembered for that. I want the legacy of this team to be remembered. And so that's what I'm trying to shift the narrative on and really focus in championing what we've done and what we've accomplished the last 2.5 weeks together.
Hillary Knight did not at that point, Zane, take the microphone and do a mic drop, but she could have.
She certainly could have. And I love that comment about it's not her responsibility to defend the action of others or the words of others. I'm not going to say anything that hasn't been said by many other people. And so what I'll just say this is the women's game is incredible. The Torrent are incredible. Hillary Knight playing for your team. You don't get these kinds of people on your teams usually. You don't get these mega legends because there aren't that many, right? She's the greatest U.S. women's hockey player in the history of the universe. So, and you get to watch her play for your Seattle team if you want. All the games are on YouTube, so you can watch them there. You can go to Climate Pledge, and it's an incredible atmosphere. Women's hockey, women's sports is such a good product. And if you are hesitant or you think it's women, it's an inferior product, give it a try. Just give it a try. Just watch a few Torrent games and let me know what you think. Because there's this perception that the women's game is lesser in all these ways. And it's just simply not true. So if you're upset about the comments, go out, support our women. It's important. There's a reason why every time I mention David Jones' locker room, I mention we cover the Seattle Torrent and the Seattle Kraken. There's a reason why we talk about the Torrent on the show. And when we talk to our locked on bosses and we say, hey, you know what? Part of the reason why we're doing this is because the Seattle Torrent is also important to Seattle Kraken hockey. And it was, a condition for us to be able to do the show. It's very important to us. We cover the Torrent. We're at the Torrent games. We give it the same attention we do. And the reason for that is it is an excellent product. Please go support the Torrent, support our Olympians. Also, Julie Gosling of Team Canada won silver. Friday would be a great time to go check it out. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And I think we'll wrap it up there. So we got the Kraken against the Blues tonight. And thank you for tuning in to Locked On Kraken. We will be back tomorrow to talk about this Blues game and hopefully a rebound. And make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Kraken so you get all the latest episodes. You can find us at Davy Jones LR on all social media platforms or at DavyJonesLockerroom.com, where we cover the Seattle Torrent and the Seattle Kraken. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Kraken ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. For those of you on video, we send you over to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure this is one of your 2 daily listens. For Davy Jones Locker Room, I'm Zane Begg.
And I'm Glenn Dreyfus.
And we'll see you tomorrow.